Living inside everyone is an intrinsic yearning to be a warrior, yet few are born with a drive deep in their heart to be a warrior and live by it. Learn how to tap into that warrior way, life, and potential to unlock an ancient drive. Join Eric Carball, author, entrepreneur, and former U.S. Marine, on the Warrior Up Show each week with segments that will challenge your perspectives, encourage you, and showcases a warrior spotlight where he focuses on what made a warrior. Have you ever thought if you have a purpose or mission in this life? It's time to live on purpose and warrior up. Here's our host, Eric Carball.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of The Warrior Up Show. The title of this episode, The Warrior Rising. Now let's talk about what it means to be a warrior and have the warrior attitude, warriorhood in general, the warrior culture, because individual traits and characteristics of being a warrior can be taught. It can be learned from watching other warriors, reading books, so you can adopt those individual traits as your own. But warriorhood in itself, it can never, ever, ever be taught. And the reason for this, a true warrior will operate in body, mind, and spirit all together in perfect unison. And if those ever get out of balance, then the warrior itself is in danger of failing in a mission, of stumbling, and not being at their full potential. So warriorhood, like I said, can never be taught in itself, but it can be developed over time, and it usually comes at the hardest challenges in life. Some of the deepest, darkest struggles that a person can go through will allow them to rise up as a warrior. It usually takes some kind of situation or circumstance that ignites that warrior from within, and then they begin to develop this culture of warriorhood. And that, again, like I've said, is so beautiful to see when somebody comes into the adoption of that warriorhood. Because I mentioned time and time again that everyone who has ever been born, before time began, there's an ancient drive that is calling them, that speaks to the innermost part of their DNA, to rise up and be that warrior that they're meant to be. So a warrior is someone who never ever gives up. They keep on going. They will go through until that mission is accomplished, no matter what, because they're never going to stop. There's something that's deep down inside of every warrior, no matter who they are. Deep down, that DNA rises up and allows that warrior to climb out of that deepest, darkest pit in which they find themselves. This is why being a warrior is so important. This is why warriors must rise. A lot of times warriors understand that not every battle is worth fighting, because they know who they are. And they also know that when they rise, things are going to change because they command a difference. Whether it's in their own life, whether it's in friends and family, whether it's in society or culture, when a warrior rises, people take notice. And that's what's beautiful about warriorhood and the warrior culture in general. And let me tell you right now as well, and I cannot stress this enough, with the same very passion that a warrior lives and fights, the same very passion that causes them to rise up when situations get tough, that allows them to conquer whatever mission is in front of them, whatever obstacle that they must go directly through, it's that very same passion that can also take that warrior out. Because that same passion sometimes gets ahead of the mind, the body, and the spirit unison, and that can cause them to get out of balance, and that causes them to lose focus, and it can cause them to completely, basically unplug. So it's important that if you're a warrior and you're struggling right now, whether you're a veteran with PTS or no matter what it is, I want to encourage you, work on your body, your mind, and spirit in perfect unison, because in that purpose of those coming together is where you find new strength you didn't ever know you have. See, warriors don't ever give up. Warriors can never give up. So in the Marine Corps, we have a phrase, once a Marine, always a Marine. When we get out of the Marine Corps, we never stop being a Marine. We're a Marine until the day that we die. Until we take our last breath, we're a Marine. It's the same thing with being a warrior. A warrior can never give up. A warrior will never give up. They might take a back seat for a little while to allow other people to get the spotlight, but they don't give up. They won't ever relinquish that warriorhood. So warrior life, it can also be downright exhausting sometimes. Sometimes you just want to take it easy. You want to put things in cruise control and coast for a little while. The life of a warrior doesn't always get like that. You don't really have those times. As important as it is for rest and relaxation and unplug, but you're constantly being a warrior. You're constantly in that warrior mode, and it can get exhausting. We'll say things like, man, I'm just tired of fighting. Or can't one day go by without having to deal with this constant struggle, this constant fight? So you might be in that same very situation in your life right now. You look around you and you see other people are just seems to be coasting by, cruising through life without any real issues. But let me encourage you, don't look at anybody else. Don't look at what other people are going through or not going through, or what appears that they're not going through, because everybody's battle is different. Everybody battles a little bit differently. So just because it seems like you just can't ever catch a break, keep pushing through, warrior. Keep pushing through until you find that breakthrough. Because, see, God is looking to give you a little bit of extra strength that you need, that little turbo boost to get you through the situation, and to give you that extra strength and drive to get you through whatever obstacle that you're going through. So the DNA of a warrior is just as an individual as our fingerprints. There are no two fingerprints the same, neither is any warrior. Many warriors operate in the same mode. Many warriors will operate very similar to others. They'll train the same. They'll do things the same way, but deep down that warrior is a little bit different. We all have individual strengths and weaknesses. And when you're operating in that balance of mind, body, and spirit, you understand what your weaknesses are. You understand what your strengths are. And you begin to see the strengths and the weaknesses in those other warriors next to you that are in the fight. And you begin to learn how those strengths and weaknesses can mesh together to create an even more unbreakable bond, because now you have multiple warriors going against the same obstacle. So most warriors by nature are going to be introverts. That's just who they are, because they understand if they let everyone know who they really are or their whole warriorhood culture, some people can get intimidated. Some people get a little bit standoffish from that warrior. So as a result of that, they tend to be introverts. But not every warrior is an introvert. There are some who are extroverts, but by and large, they've learned to be extroverts most of the time because of situations where they've had to take the reins and become that person to go into the spotlight. So a warrior doesn't have a problem taking control and going to where they have to go, because warriors by nature make great leaders. But a warrior doesn't always choose that, because they like to allow other people that opportunity to shine. See, warriors are real good about enabling characteristics in somebody to allow them to rise and to get to a place of prominence to help grow that person. So leaders, by nature, a good warrior leader is also a servant leader. They serve and they lead by servanthood. And that's what makes it so wonderful to see. And because of this, warriors are not easily understood. So warriors can easily be misunderstood, and people can easily try to take advantage of that warrior because they think that the way that they operate by being an introvert and not really liking the limelight, so to speak, that they sit back and they don't want to be known, so they think they can walk all over them. Trample very lightly, I will say, because the last thing you want to do is cause a warrior have to stand up and rise up. Now, the beautiful thing about warriors is we can easily be left alone. Not only can we be easily left alone, being that lone wolf is a lot of times preferred by warriors. We prefer to be alone and in our own counsel, allowing ourselves to self-internalize, because that's what warriors are. We are great self-internalizers. We'll internalize every deep down things inside of us, but we're also our worst critic. So you're going to find this sometimes. So if you are a warrior as well and you're struggling with things, I want to encourage you, even though it's easy for you to be alone, don't stop looking for other warriors to be around, because you need that bond. You need that common thread to help pull you out of your own mind sometimes. So warriors are men and women of action. They don't ever stop. They show up. They do what's expected and a little bit more. They just don't do enough to get by. They always do more than enough to get by. That's not part of my job, is not in their vocabulary. Because see, actions prove who someone really is, while words only tell you who they want to be. Let me say that again. Actions prove who a person really is, while their words tell you who they want to be. So a lot of people talk the talk, but not many people walk the walk. Well, warriorhood, the warrior culture, you must also walk the talk. Because if you don't walk the talk, you're no better than the next person. And warriors pride themselves on being people of integrity, people of courage, people of honor, commitment, loyalty, and even people of compassion. Because that's what a warrior must do. They must operate in integrity, courage, honor, commitment, loyalty, and compassion in everything that he or she does, even when nobody is watching. Because that's what integrity is. You do the right thing even when nobody's watching. That's what a warrior must do. Warriors must operate in the right frame of mind to rise above any circumstance, to rise above any obstacle, so that they can see the ending in mind and see the end of the mission, and maybe, just maybe, there might be a better way. They might find a way that they didn't think about before. So that's what it means to be a warrior, is to rise up so you can see something new. You can get a new perspective, because most of the time, it's all about perspective. So warriors train to be perfected. And it takes others with you to train in order to be perfected. So I want to talk a little bit about this, because so many times as warriors, you think that you don't need other people. I can go it alone. Nobody cares. It's easy to get into your own headspace. And this can be a very dangerous thing, because when you're in your own headspace, you're getting out of balance of your heart and your spirit. Not always, but sometimes. So I want to take that as a precautionary tale. Make sure you're getting good counsel by those that are around you to help get you out of your own head, so you can stop thinking so deeply, so you can keep going on with the mission. So Proverbs 27:17 is a beautiful Bible verse, and it says this: as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. So think about that. Just as iron will sharpen iron when you're training with swords in the medieval times, as they would train, iron would sharpen iron. They would use iron to sharpen their swords. A butcher will use a sharpening steel, which is iron, and it sharpens the steel knives. So one warrior must sharpen another. As iron sharpens iron, one warrior must sharpen another. That's what it means to be a warrior. That's what it means to be a warrior rising. The Warrior Spotlight. In this episode of Warrior Spotlight, we're going to talk about the Declaration of Independence. This was a time when our forefathers really thought about something that was better. They were tired of the tyranny in Britain. They were tired of King George, who was taxing them without representation, who was demanding things and their hard-earned resources and all of these things, and they wanted a better way. That's why they came to America, because they wanted to find a better way. Now, a lot of educational institutions you're going to find through textbooks and different things like that, and they're going to say that our forefathers were agnostics. Some of them, absolutely. Some of them, I'm sure, were atheists. But many of them were very poignant in who they knew who they were. They knew that America was a divine gift by God. And that's how they moved in that aspect. See, our founding fathers, our forefathers, they understood the value of being learned. So they would learn and study different cultures and different religions so they would know who they were, who brought them to America. That's why the Declaration of Independence and the signing of the Declaration of Independence to start our Constitution was so important. Because it was the first time in modern history that a people decided that they were going to stand against tyranny in such a powerful way to create this new experiment of a country that will become a superpower. Now, absolutely, this country has had some ugly history, and we've made some very bad sins in this country, without a question. Slavery was one of those bad situations. And many of the forefathers that we had, some of them owned slaves, absolutely. And some of them understood how horrible of a situation that was, and they wanted to end it. So they had to compromise in the Declaration of the Independence and the Constitution when they were signing it in order to push things forward so we could become a better country, a better experiment of who we were. So the reason why I say the Declaration of Independence, for all the people that signed that, the reason that they were warriors, they understood by signing that paper, by signing that document, it meant the end of their life, most likely. Because Britain was going to come and they were going to hunt them down. Of course, we know what happened, because next we had the revolution, we declared revolution, we declared liberty, and we won, and we got our freedom. If it wasn't for the Declaration of Independence, that revolution never would have happened. This country of America would never existed, and on top of that, many people's lives would not have been different all over this country or all over this world. Like it or not, as much as so many people hate this country, I will never apologize for being an American, and I will never apologize for this country. Even though, like I said, we've had some ugly history, but when you look by and large, this country has done great things all over this world. I'm not talking about the wars, so don't go there. I'm talking about our humanitarian efforts of helping people, helping feed hungry, and bringing the gospel of God all over the world. Whether you like it or not, those are some beautiful attributes, and that's part of what means being a warrior. Because the warrior culture and the warriorhood has been part of the American dream and the American culture since day one of America. That's why today's Warrior Spotlight is all about the Declaration of Independence, because we had a group of people with different backgrounds, different religious standings, different education levels, and different ideas of what America would be, to find common ground to make something beautiful. Common ground. Wouldn't it be nice if our politicians today, whether Democrat or Republican, would find common ground? Of course they do, because they all party together. They're all buddy-buddy and friends while they're selling out this country. So don't ever think that the Democrats and the Republicans care about you, because they really don't, because they're a politician. They are not warriors. They're princes and kings, or at least they want to be. But our founding fathers understood that if we could keep people humble and mindful of who they're supposed to be and who they're supposed to be helping in this country, that this country would be a beautiful thing. So I want to encourage you to stay on that path. Continue in that path of being a warrior rising. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop. And I want to thank you right now for taking this moment to watch and view the Warrior Up Show. And until next time, don't forget, Warrior Up.
This episode of the Warrior Up Show has been brought to you by the Warrior Up book, available on Westbow Press, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, and more. Buy a book, give a book, and sponsor books for the hashtag Books4Heroes campaign. Check out WarriorUpBook.com to learn more about sponsoring books for our veterans.